Today on Teach Me How to Vegan.
Another trick that helps with creaminess, especially if you kind of like a little bit of cheesy flavor to it, is cream cheese.
Oh, that's what you did.
It's cream cheese.
I like creamy stuff. Because
You
those, I
do.
was like, these are the best mashed potatoes
Yeah.
I've ever had. And you put, what brand of cream cheese did you put in it?
It was Daya because that's all I had in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. Or no, maybe it was Trader Joe's. I don't know.
I think
One of those
anything
two.
would work.
Yeah, but
It's all
anything
about
kind
the
of works.
texture.
Yeah. And then I like when I put the cream cheese, I put garlic in it, of course salt, pepper, and then I like to have green onions to go on top of it because the green onions with the cream cheese is really it's sour cream and onion essentially. Mashed potatoes almost, but not super overpowering. So it's just a really good combo.
Welcome to Teach Me How to Vegan.
A podcast where we explore how to switch to a vegan diet.
I'm Tony, a health educator, fitness instructor, and plant-based eating program manager for Animal Protection of New Mexico.
I'm Mickey, a stay-at-home homeschooling mom and vegan cook who likes to play in the kitchen.
Our family stopped eating meat in 2007.
And we went vegan in 2016. Now we like to share with others what we've learned.
Thanks for joining us.
Let's get started.
All right, so we're going to talk about cooking for the holidays and share some like quote unquote traditional ideas for main dishes, side dishes.
Yeah, the sort of
desserts.
mainstream American traditional holiday meals.
Right. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our focus today. So if that's your jam or what you're into, definitely stay tuned. We're going to help you figure out how to prepare the whole feast for whichever holiday you're celebrating. We have lots of experience with this because we went vegetarian years ago before there were all these fancy roasts.
Yes.
Products that came out.
Yeah,
and
I think the first year we were vegan, it was like the tofurkey roast was all that was on the market.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. So we were in those days. And our vegetarian Thanksgivings years and years ago, we would take stuffed squash and have that as like our sort of main dish.
Yeah.
And I remember you always took extra because it was always really popular. People
Yes.
were really into it.
Yes.
So the rest of the family wanted some of that good stuffed squash.
Yes.
So we ended up introducing a new meal or a new dish to,
The
the family tradition or whatever. So let's start with just talking about all the different glorious roasts.
Oh my gosh,
that are
there's
available
so
right
many
now.
now.
It's so many.
There's so many.
And we might even leave one off our list, but we're going to try and cover
Yeah.
all the ones we've heard of, definitely all the ones we've tried,
Yeah.
and talk about a few that we haven't tried yet, but we've heard about.
Yeah. Tony was like, I think I got all the roasts. And I was like, a friend just shared a bunch of pictures. Let's double check. And he had missed a couple.
I did. So maybe we got them all now. Maybe we didn't.
So maybe now we have them all.
But yeah, I figured we'd start by talking about the tofurkey roast because that
Yes.
was the original
Yep.
when there was nothing else and that was our thing.
I think that's the OG
Yeah.
for us anyway.
Yeah. So we are into it. We like it. Some people
Yeah.
don't like it or, if it's definitely not one of the more popular ones.
Mhm.
And we're not sure why. We can't quite figure out why because
Yeah.
we really like it.
I don't.
And both our kids really like
Yeah.
it too. So
Yeah. Like smother it with some gravy and we're good to go.
yeah.
Well, we really like the tofurkey slices in the house. And so I feel like the tofurkey that's like turkey replacement slices probably is the roast just sliced up or something similar. And so I don't know, but we really like it. And it's stuffed with like it's got a stuffing in the center. So it's like a stuffed roast. It's not just solid tofurkey slices or something.
Yeah. If you like the deli slices,
Yeah.
you'll probably really like it like we do.
Yeah. And then you can get it either just the roast by itself or you can get something that they have called a holiday feast that comes with a gravy, which we also really like. It's really good. And then a little pack of brownies. And those are some of the best vegan brownies I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like I always want to get the holiday roast or the holiday pack because the brownies are so good.
Yeah. And we usually don't have them like with the holiday meal.
Right.
Like, put the brownies aside and we have them like another time.
Yeah, because as you'll see, we have some really great other dessert items that end up being at these holiday events.
Right. The next one on our list is the Gardein Holiday Roast.
This one's really good. And this is the one that your sisters prefer of all the ones we've tried.
It was really popular when we served it
Yeah.
one year.
Yeah. And that was like 2 years ago. One of your sisters found it for the holidays that year. And it was the first time any of us had it. And we all really, really liked it. Like For me, I think my two favorite of the ones we've tried are the Gardein and the tofurkey. But for some reason last year we couldn't find, it was so hard to find anything last year.
Yeah.
So they kind of went fast. So this year when I already saw them in the grocery stores, I grabbed a bunch. So we're well prepared for this year.
So they didn't run out.
Yeah, exactly. The Gardein holiday roast is also one. It's so the tofurkey one is almost like a little butter ball, almost like it's a little ball, and then the Gardein holiday roast is more like a log, but it's also got stuffing inside. But I think it has a little bit of cranberries in the stuffing.
It has a bit of cranberries.
Yeah, so little difference there between
and I
those
feel
two.
like our kids don't really care for the stuffing in the Gardein.
Right.
They just like the outside part.
Yeah, the turkey type part.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
But the stuffing is, I think, my sister's favorite part of the whole thing. She couldn't get enough of that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting little tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. And speaking of tofurkey, they also have a ham roast. And our families really loved the ham roast.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And because I feel like, for Christmas, that was like the last holiday to go all vegan.
Yeah.
Because some people really wanted ham. That's
yeah.
like the thing they do for Christmas Day and trying to get people away from ham. So when we had the ham roast, it was like, let's try that.
Yes.
And I think we made both. We made like a quote unquote turkey version of a roast, and then we made
the ham version.
A ham.
Yeah.
So we had both, and the ham was really popular. People liked it.
Yeah, it was really tasty, especially put that little glaze, or if you like the pineapple on the outside of your ham, if that's how you kind of grew up with the pineapple, you can kind of do the same deal with the little tofurkey ham, and it's really tasty.
Yeah. So highly recommend trying that one.
Yeah.
So there's also a Trader Joe's makes their own turkeyless stuffed roast.
Mm-hmm.
This one's pretty popular too.
Yeah.
When we tried it. I think we made two.
I think we did.
For our family of, 13 people or whatever. And it was all gone.
Yeah. Exactly. And that one also has a stuffing inside as well.
Right. So those are all the big roasts that we've tried. There's a few other roasts that we have not tried.
Well, we tried also the field roast cranberry hazelnut one that has like the puff pastry on the outside.
Yeah.
We tried that one year as well, and that's really tasty. It definitely has more of like a sausagey flavor than some of the other ones. So if you really kind of like that, then this is your jam also.
Yeah. So field roast, hazelnut, cranberry roast.
Yeah.
That's a good one that we've tried also. There's two roasts that we have not personally tried yet. One is the field roast celebration roast, which looks really good.
It does.
Heard a lot of good things about. People tend to love field roast a lot.
They do.
I think that's on our list to try very soon.
I mean, we like all their sausage stuff and their Italian sausage and their little breakfast links. So
that's true. I haven't tried a field roast product I didn't really like.
Yeah.
So there's that one. And then there's a company called All Vegetarian Inc. that has we have a giant All Vegetarian Inc. roast in our freezer right now.
Yep. For this year.
Waiting to.
Yep. We'll let you know how that will come back and say, hey.
Yep. We'll mention it as a tidbit later on.
But we're excited to try that. We've seen a couple friends who also got one recently, seen them cook it up, and it looks really delicious. It looks really good.
For sure. So those are all the roasts. There's also some products that if you're not cooking for a lot of people, especially this year, if you're staying home cooking for a smaller number of people, Gardein has two different products that are like single serving. So the box comes with either 4 single servings or 2 single servings.
So the Gardein cutlets have 4 cutlets in a bag.
Right.
And I think 2 pouches of gravy so that it's, 1 pouch is split between 2 cutlets. And this product is one that I will get on the regular because I will randomly want like a chicken type meal with mashed potatoes and green beans and biscuits. It's one of those products that helps me to easily replicate a meal that I apparently grew up eating a lot of because it's like a old faithful when I want. It's like a comfort meal for me. So, and they're really good. So the cutlets we have on the regular.
Yeah, they're Gardein turkey cutlets.
Cutlets, yeah.
Gardein also makes a stuffed turkey, which comes in like 2 servings per box, right? Yeah. And it's a bigger, it's like an individual mini roast.
Exactly. It's a mini roast. So it's kind of like the cutlet, but stuffed, and it's like a little mini log.
Yeah.
And it's got the stuffing and the little cranberries in it, and it's breaded on the outside, and it's also really delicious.
Right. So if you want the roast experience for just 1 or 2 people or even 4 people,
Yes.
you don't want the giant thing, buy those and
Yes.
try those.
Yes.
For sure.
They're really good.
So those are the roasts.
Sort of the main dish.
We have 2 other main dishes that are not roasts that
Yes.
sometimes we make if we don't want to roast, or in the pre-roast era.
Yeah. Or if you don't want processed foods, if you want something more whole foodsy, this is a good option.
Right. So one is stuffed squash. Like I mentioned, that used to be our main dish before the fancy roasts came out.
Yeah.
And basically you just take a acorn squash, right?
Yeah, you can take an acorn squash and you cut it in half and you take out the seeds and you cook it for a certain amount of time, and then you can stuff it with whatever you want. You can do like stuffing, and usually for the holidays, that's what I would stuff it with. But you could also do brown sugar and cinnamon on it. You could probably come up with some kind of like pecan apple type stuffing to go in it if that's your thing. Just all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and we have an upcoming webinar where we have a guest that's going to demo some stuffed squash.
Yeah.
So
that'll be great.
See the whole thing start to finish. That one looked amazing. So yeah, that's a good idea for a main dish. And then another great main dish for the holidays is lentil loaf.
Lentil loaf, yes. And the acorn squash, I was really good for a couple years with like, oh, acorn squash, it's so great. And then I hit this like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to cut open the acorn squash. Oh, I don't want to do it. Tony's laughing at the face I'm making.
That's how you went. That's exactly how you did it, actually. Seriously.
Yeah. So then I found a lentil loaf, and my mom used to make a lot of meatloaf also. So I was really happy to have a replacement for that. And then because all of these, the holidays, the food typically tends to be a little more labor intensive. So you don't make it all the time. And so doing the lentil loaf for a holiday has been a hit with family as well. And
which is hilarious that you went to lentil loaf because the squash was so hard.
I didn't want to cut it.
And then the first time when I tried to help you with the lentil loaf, I was like, this is labor intensive. I would much rather cut open a squash and bake it. What are you talking about?
I don't know what I was doing.
Strange.
I know.
But nevertheless, people really liked it.
Yes.
That was I think we did it for Christmas one year in lieu of a roast or a ham when we were trying to get people away from ham.
Yeah.
And people really liked it.
Yes. Yeah. I think the next year somebody was like, you're going to make that again, right? One of our non-vegan family members.
Yeah. And it's very like Whole Foodsy. So if you want that Whole Foods experience, Whole Foods, comforting and hearty holiday type of thing. That's a really good recommendation.
Yep.
All right. Let's go on to sides. Back in the day, sides were like the star of the show.
Yeah, they're
for
like
me
too.
For you too. We were
like, just give me a little piece of turkey and fill my plate with everything else.
Yeah, we're like, how are you going to be vegetarian without turkey? And it's like the sides are the star of the show.
Yes.
I don't really know why everyone makes a big fuss out of turkey, because this is where it's at.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So starting with the stuffing.
Oh my gosh. I think I can never decide if stuffing or green bean casserole is my favorite.
I know.
But
we
I
could
love
just make a meal. We could just have stuffing, green bean casserole, and bread.
Yeah. Exactly. A little bit of gravy to dump the bread in.
Yeah. Of course.
Of course. Yeah.
So how do you make your stuffing?
So my stuffing, I don't know if this is cheater status or not, but I still use an accidentally vegan box, like dried out bread crumbly stuffing mix, and then I add stuff to it. And I always use broth. I always use vegan butter, and I do celery, onion, and carrot. I really like the color that the carrots give, and I like that, like, depending on how long you saute your veggies for, sometimes there's still a little bit of crunch in your carrot because it's like super dense. And I honestly just follow the box instructions. I don't do anything fancy, but I love stuffing.
And so the one that you buy is the Mrs. Cubinson's red box.
Yes, the Mrs. Cubinson's red box is accidentally vegan, and I think one or two of the Pepperidge Farm bags are accidentally vegan also.
Yeah. So you just have to look out for like chicken stock or
Yep.
beef stock in those.
Yep. And then I one year I did it in the crock pot and it came out fantastic. And it was really nice to have that, like, it was just prep it and leave it. And it worked and it came out really well. And I think because, like, you know, if you like a little bit of crispiness to your stuffing, that's why some people will put it in the oven so the top gets kind of crispy and stuff. You can still get that in the crock pot. You just have to have the timing right because it'll kind of crunch up on the edges.
All right.
Just not the top. So like the edges and the bottom from your crock pot, it'll do that too.
Okay. Does the box have instructions for the crock pot?
I believe it does.
Okay.
I
So
believe
that's where
it
you
does.
got the idea from.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So just follow the instructions on the box. Use vegetable broth and vegan butter.
Yes.
That's simple.
Yes.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. And then if you have other things that you like to add to it besides celery and onion, like I like to add carrots, add your other things that you normally do. Some people afterwards will do like walnuts and craisins or whatever.
Spice it up.
Yeah. And then Tony's family, his grandma and his mom, they take a loaf of bread and they toast the bread and then tear it up and then still with the veggies and vegan butter and vegetable broth and then mix it up and then we bake it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the other way to do it, sort of more, I guess, traditional before they started making the box stuffings and stuff. And so that's
I remember being a little kid and going to grandma's house and she just has a giant pan of toast. She's just sitting next to the toaster just toasting
away
loaves of bread.
because they had 6 kids and like 20 something grandkids and whatever at the. So
God
it
knows
was
how many spouses and partners and
yeah,
who knows who was there.
yeah. There would be like holidays at grandma's house was like 40 people easy. So loaves of bread. But that's the other way to do it also is to take your favorite bread and toast it and tear it up.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so then we have green bean casserole.
Mm-hmm.
Now this was just the like recipe on the back of the
Campbell's
box
soup
of,
mix usually, or French fried onions.
You buy one of those products and then they have the recipe for
Yes.
green bean casserole that you used to make all the time.
Yes.
And then we went vegan and then you had to figure out how to veganize it.
Yep.
So funny story, I think we mentioned this before. My like sisters and people didn't really care for green bean casserole when you used to make it vegetarian.
Yep.
And then when we went vegan and you veganized it, all of a sudden people liked it.
Yep.
And then they were like, "You're gonna make that again, right?" Before it was like you made it just for us because you and I and the kids were the ones that liked
our family
it.
of 4, and
everyone's like, "Whatever."
Yeah, because the kids really liked it, and it was like, no, we have to have it, and I needed it. Like it was one of those dishes that's like, no, I need it. I need a vegetarian version, vegan version, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that first year, I even made my own French fried onions when I made it vegan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because the recipe,
from scratch.
Yeah, the recipe I found did it all from scratch, and then I looked at the French fried onion package. And like, oh, they're accidentally vegan. I don't have to make these. And if you're already making, everything else, because Christmas dinner is here at our house. And so to make it easy, we make most of the stuff. And then Christmas Eve is at Tony's sister's house. And so we'll talk about that menu in an upcoming episode. That's traditional New Mexican foods.
Right.
And then she makes most of that stuff. But anyway, so I really needed the green bean casserole. Mm-hmm. And so when I figured it out and that I could skip the step of making French fried onions from scratch, I took it because there's so many other things that we're working on.
Mm-hmm. And now it's a necessary part of the meal for everybody.
For everyone. Everybody loves it. Yeah. And so it's really interesting that they didn't used to like it, but they like the vegan version because it's from scratch. Because we make the sort of gravy dressing that's in the green bean casserole. We make that from scratch. And it's really like, butter and spices and coconut milk and plant milk and flour, and it doesn't have a coconutty taste, even though you're using coconut, but it gives it that creamy and that thickness. Mm-hmm. It's really fantastic. And I grew up with green bean casserole being from cans. Mm-hmm. You use canned green beans. Mm-hmm. And so I still do that. But you could also replace with fresh green beans that you boil and mix in and all of that good stuff.
So that's the beauty of it. There's a lot of different versions you can make, whether you use fresh or canned or frozen, whether you use the store-bought French fried onions, or you make them from scratch,
yeah.
or whatever. Lots of different versions to make the same delicious, glorious side.
Yes.
And friendly reminder, so we're going to link all of the recipes that we talk about in the show notes. So if you hear something that we're talking about, we'll link this recipe, and everything else. We'll link links to all the products that we talk about as well.
Yeah. Oh, and for the green bean casserole, the recipe calls for nutmeg. And last year I didn't have nutmeg, so I used pumpkin pie spice because it's the only spice I had that had nutmeg in it, and it worked just fine.
Good
so if you need to, you don't have to run out and like buy a brand new spice if you don't have it. Like if you have nutmeg hiding in like pumpkin pie spice, it didn't make it taste like pumpkin pie, but it did what the nutmeg needed to do.
And I think one person liked it better.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what you did this year, but it was even better.
I think it was.
And you're like, well, I ran out of nutmeg, so I used pumpkin pie spice.
Yeah.
Like, do it like that.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of funny.
So, all right. So that's green bean casserole. Now, mashed potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Easy peasy, actually, right?
Yeah.
Because the way you make mashed potatoes,
you just substitute all the vegan stuff.
you usually just add butter and milk and
spices.
mash them up.
Mm-hmm.
So just use a vegan milk and a vegan butter, right?
Yep.
Now, you just want to make sure it's not a sweetened milk.
Right.
Or it's not like a vanilla milk or something like that. And I'm going to say I recommend soy. Because it's the creamiest.
He does.
I'm not a fan of like almond milk in your mashed potatoes. Certainly not rice milk.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't do that.
However, you're such a hater. Please don't do that.
Don't do that to your family. Just kidding. No heat, no judgment. If you like rice milk in your mashed potatoes, that is very valid. Anyway.
Yes. I think one year your Natalie, your sister, did half and half.
Yeah, she does that. I think that's how she does them now. Is the silk half and half. No, not half and half. The silk original creamer. Because those are different things.
Yes.
Silk has a thing called half and half, which is like half soy creamer and half coconut.
I think so.
Something like that. And then they have just the silk original coffee creamer. It's in a blue thing. That's my favorite coffee creamer of all time.
Yeah.
And she uses that because it gives the mashed potatoes the creamy texture that I'm all about.
Yeah. So you can use soy milk.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty easy to find. And then if you can find the creamer, you can do the unsweetened original creamer. Mm-hmm. You can also do half and half. Because I think I did that recently.
I'm sure it's amazing. Mm-hmm. I think you did the last time, and I was like, these mashed potatoes
are so good.
I don't know what you did, but they were amazing.
And then another trick that helps with creaminess, especially if you kind of like a little bit of cheesy flavor to it, is cream cheese.
Oh, that's what you did.
It's cream cheese.
I like creamy stuff. Because I was like, these are the best mashed potatoes I've ever had. And you put... What brand of cream cheese did you put in it?
It was Daya because that's all I had in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. Or no, maybe it was Trader Joe's. I don't know.
I think
one of those two.
Work.
Yeah, but anything kind of works. Texture. Yeah. And then I like when I put the cream cheese, I like to make like a garlicky. I put like garlic in it, of course, salt, pepper, and then I like to have green onions to go on top of it because the green onions with the cream cheese is really it's sour cream and onion, essentially. Mashed potatoes almost, but not super overpowering. So it's just a really good combo.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And then any vegan butter will work. Literally any vegan butter will do the trick, right? You can't really go wrong with that. And there's so many brands these days.
Yeah.
And even the like mainstream brands that aren't only vegan or primarily vegan, usually there's vegan versions, whether accidental or intentional. You know, Country Crock used to have an accidentally vegan version, and now they have a line of plant butters that are intentionally vegan. You know, there's a Blue Bonnet that's accidentally vegan.
Well, that's my favorite story.
Yeah.
We had a friend that came over for a holiday one year and was like, no, you need butter. I need butter. I need butter.
I need real butter.
I need real butter. He went to the store and came back with Blue Bonnet sticks. And it wasn't butter.
And they were
also accidentally vegan. I think it was like margarine or something. And so it was he was really like, oh, like I had no idea.
Yeah, it was actually a barbecue. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
We were barbecuing for something, and we had
for the corn, maybe?
roasted corn. Yeah. and we had like earth balanced butter. And he was like, I'm not going to put that vegan butter on my corn. I need some real butter. Yeah. Goes to the
That's
store,
what it was,
comes back with Blue Bonnet. And I'm like, okay. I was curious, like, what was,
Yeah.
what he was going to want as real butter. And then I read the ingredients. I was like, oh, that's vegan too.
Yeah. It was so funny.
Yeah.
He's like, well, all right. Okay.
Well, dang.
Well,
okay.
all right. Maybe I'll try your butter next time. All right.
Mm-hmm. So,
It was
good times.
stuff.
So, yeah, the vegan butters are great.
Yes.
Moral of the story.
Yeah.
All right, gravy.
Gotta have it to top your potatoes. Well, you like green chili on top of your mashed potatoes.
I do.
But you do also like gravy.
I like gravy on my stuffing, green chili on my mashed
Yes.
potatoes,
Yeah.
gravy on my roast.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, green chili on everything. Just pour it all over everything.
This is true. No lies detected.
I know. And some people they're into red chili on mashed potatoes. That's like instead of gravy. And I'm always, I don't know what house y'all grew up in, but at my grandma and grandpa's house for the holidays, we had a big pot of green chili and red chili. We didn't have it.
Yep. Yeah,
And,
that is.
And I mean, like green chili on turkey, green chili on mashed potatoes, green chili on stuffing. That sounds amazing. Red chili on all that. I don't know about all that, but you could do your thing.
Yes.
I mean, and you could, people were like, what better time for red and green together
Than at Christmas.
I know, but
if you're not from New Mexico,
excuse that whole rant.
Let me fill you in because I learned real quick when I moved here. If you're not from New Mexico, there is a debate on which is better, green or red, green chili or red chili. New Mexico has a state question called green or red.
Red or green.
Red or green. And then a state answer, Christmas, which means you have both together at the same time. And some people think that's blasphemy and some people really love it. Yeah. So it's really pretty funny. And I'm pretty sure New Mexico is the only state that has a state question and a state answer.
Yeah.
So that's that rant little context for you.
Right. And we put chili on everything.
Everything.
So it's only right that we are concerned about what chili goes better poured all over your holiday plate. Make a plate and then just pour green chili all over it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
back to
gravy. Gravy. So I feel like gravy is actually really easy to make. You make a roux and you pour some liquid in it. And a roux is butter and flour and your liquid. And you could do vegetable broth and soy sauce, or you could do water, whatever. But for the holidays, I usually like to have a little bit of something else in the gravy. So I'll either make an onion brown gravy or a mushroom brown gravy. Mm-hmm. And that's just basically dicing up mushrooms or onions, and you saute it and cook it down in the butter. Then you add your flour to make the sort of pasty thing, and then you add your liquid and all your spices and seasoning, and then you boil it until it's at the thickness you like, or simmer it until it's at the thickness you like.
Yeah, and if you do it a time or two, you can really just wing it from there. Like the last time I made some gravy, the last few times, I just literally just made it up. Yeah. Like I just threw butter in the pan, and then I threw flour in it. And then I was making white gravy one time. I just threw soy milk in it.
Yep.
And it was done. And some spices, and it was beautiful. And brown gravy too. It's like,
yeah. I
think I just did vegetable broth and then like a splash of soy sauce.
Yeah. The soy sauce is what helps it get that brown color.
Gives it the flavor. And it's really
easy. It is really easy. So gravy is really not an issue. And spices is whatever you like in your gravy. For us, it's always super basic. Salt, pepper, garlic, onion. Mm-hmm. And then, the soy sauce. And then Trader Joe's has like a mushroom something spice that sometimes I'll throw that in the gravy. But I have to be careful how much I put in because it has a little bit of red peppers in it.
Oh, and it
or the chili flakes like that you put on pizza. Yeah. And so it can get too spicy for us. If it didn't have that, I'd probably use it a lot more often because it's got really good flavor and spices in it. But really, when I make a brown gravy, it's mushrooms or onion, butter, flour, vegetable broth, soy sauce, and spices. Easy. If you have vegan Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce. I just say Worcestershire sauce. I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Worcestershire or something like that. I don't know.
Worcestershire.
If you have that vegan one, that's probably a good one to put in your gravy also.
Yeah. It's typically not vegan because they have anchovies in it,
but
so
there are
look
vegan
out
brands
for anchovies in the ingredients.
Yeah.
So that was gravy. And then the last side that, we're going to talk about that people typically include in holiday meals is yams or sweet potatoes. These are super easy to veganize.
Yes.
Because if the only thing you really have to think about is if you put marshmallows on top.
Yes.
Then you need to get vegan marshmallows. But otherwise, the rest of the recipe, it's usually just some type of syrup or sugar.
Yeah.
And the sweet potatoes themselves.
Yeah.
And spices. So
maybe a little bit of vegan butter.
Right. So you just have to use vegan butter or vegan marshmallows. And with marshmallows, the main culprit is gelatin. So you just have to look for a vegan brand. So Trader Joe's has vegan marshmallows, the Trader Joe's brand, and the Dandies brand are vegan.
Yep.
So those are usually not too hard to find at different places.
Yep.
Obviously at Trader Joe's or Sprouts, I think, has the Dandies ones. So you just got to look around for those.
Another side dish that it's not very popular at our house for the holidays, but I've seen elsewhere is mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
And there are all sorts of ways to make vegan mac and cheese. We typically just make our cheese sauce recipe that's on the website and pour it over cooked noodles and it's good to go. But you can take it next level and put it in a casserole dish and top it with panko breadcrumbs and bake it a little bit so it gets crispy and toasty. It's really delicious like that too.
If I was trying to make it super festive, when I baked it like that, I'd probably sprinkle a little bit of vegan cheese shreds on top, the Go Veggie shreds or something.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
Just make it even more
cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, green chili in that too.
Of course. That goes without saying.
Green chili mac and cheese is really delicious. Because it gets poured
all over everything.
Yes. Okay.
So then Mickey reminded me it's not a meal without breads.
You have to have something to dunk in your gravy.
So typically we do rolls, right?
Yes,
My younger sister makes rolls every year.
Yeah, and she actually uses that Pillsbury, it's a box mix, I think. The Pillsbury pizza crust / rolls box mix or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's her go-to for that, and she's got those down.
And then I think she just uses the egg replacer.
I think so.
In the really old school looking box.
Yes.
That looks like it's from the 70s.
Yes.
And they come out really good every year. They're
a staple.
They are.
And I think she was to the point where she was making 2 boxes so that there was 24 rolls.
Yeah.
Or more, depending on how big she had made them.
I think it's a lot because she always brings them in and then Constantine counts them and does the math.
Yes.
And it's I can have 4 rolls without overdoing my share.
Yes. We can each have
I can
4.
Have 3, yeah.
And then I can ask Auntie Mary for the rest of hers because she won't eat 4. Yes.
So she makes a lot of rolls.
Yeah.
It's 50 rolls.
Yeah. But
those are good. You could also do biscuits, which we have an easy biscuit recipe on the website.
Yep.
That would be really good, especially if you don't need to make 50.
Yes.
If you're not cooking for a large number of people that are going to have 4 each.
But I like to have us eat early so that you get to enjoy that meal twice in one day.
Yeah. So we start at lunchtime and then we go for round 2 at dinner time. So we're not being super ridiculous.
Right. It is over 2 meals. 2 rolls per meal is probably standard.
So, but yeah, the biscuits are recommended.
Yes.
Or if you don't want to do it from scratch, you could do crescent rolls.
Yeah, Pillsbury crescent rolls are accidentally vegan. I think Trader Joe's and Sprouts also have some accidentally vegan, crescent roll type things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even the Great Value brand is accidentally vegan.
Yeah. So most of them are. They don't include milk or egg in the ingredients.
Yeah.
So that's an easy way to get some good, fresh,
fluffy,
flaky breadness in your meal.
Yeah.
All right. So that covers breads. Now we're on to desserts. So we'll just talk about a few, staple desserts for our, quote unquote traditional holiday meals. We usually have pumpkin pie.
Yep.
Which my sister and niece did a demo video for our last webinar, so you can check that out on the YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
The recipe is on our website. So it's pretty easy. Basically, it just came down to figuring out the best egg replacer
Right.
and then using the recipe on the Libby's website.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically what it is. It's actually a pretty simple process.
Yeah.
I used to be intimidated, and that's why I asked my sister to do the video, because I was like, I have no idea how to make pumpkin pie, and I want to teach people how to make pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
And then she did it, and I'm like, okay,
I could do that.
I could do that.
I could do that. I'm like, good. You could do that.
You do that. But she did the legwork of trying all the different egg replacers and
Right.
figuring out which one was the best. So that was the main.
Yeah.
thing with
Sometimes
that.
in baking, I think that's what it comes down to with vegan options is what's the best egg replacer for that recipe.
Right.
So that work is done for you already.
And you can just follow the recipe as we have it.
Mm-hmm.
So another staple for dessert is pumpkin cheesecake,
Mm-hmm.
which my sister ended up developing her own recipe because she was
Yes.
trying different recipes over the years, and then she developed her own, which is also on our website. And we just can't do without this.
It's so good. Yes.
We even sometimes request it for like our birthdays
Yep.
or other celebrations.
Yeah,
We ask her to make her pumpkin
Tony's
cheesecake.
birthday is in October, so it works to have pumpkin cheesecake. And then his sister's Mary's birthday is in January, so sometimes we're still on a pumpkin kick in January for pumpkin cheesecake because it's that good.
Well, yeah, I have 3 sisters, and our birthdays are October, November, December, January.
Yes.
So like the whole pumpkin season, if you will, if you
Yeah.
extend it out to January.
Yeah. Yep, totally.
So it
And
always
then
works.
some other staples that we have are just Rice Krispie treats.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one year I made a peppermint chocolate poke cake, but it was really rich, and not everybody likes the combination of chocolate and peppermint. As
Which
odd
is
as that
funny because I
is.
hate that
But
combination.
you really liked that.
But I really
cake,
liked that
didn't you?
cake. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. You made it like 3 years in a row. I thought it was going to be a state like every year. But I think when we went vegan, you didn't want to figure out how to veganize it.
Yeah, because that's right. It was It was when we were vegetarian because I couldn't find a peppermint vegan creamer at that time.
Right. And there's probably one now.
And
so.
I'm sure there's one now, so that could be redone. But I think another one that could be really good for like the winter holidays is peppermint Oreo bomb cake.
That's you.
Or just a regular Oreo bomb cake. Jeez.
No, people would be really into that.
I know.
I'm just
because
hating.
you just crunch candy canes on top of it, and
Yeah.
that could be
that
could
would
be
be
fun and
super
tasty.
festive. People would be into it.
Yeah.
Ignore me.
Okay. Well, the Oreo bomb cake is super easy to make too. We'll
It
link
is.
the recipe. It's just like Oreos and whipped cream, and you dunk Oreos in milk, and you just layer Oreos, whipped cream, and that's it.
You don't
And
even
then
have to bake it. You don't have to
you just
do
put it in the
anything. You don't
fridge,
have to
and
measure
it's
stuff.
Amazing.
It is so good.
It's
We
so
were on a
good.
kick for it where we had it for our birthdays and everything for like a whole year, huh?
Yeah.
Every
like everybody's
celebration,
birth. Yeah.
everybody. You made it one time and then everybody
Yep.
just wanted it for like a whole year.
I think it was like 2 years.
Yeah, we were. Dang, we're gonna have to make it soon.
Okay.
But if you just crunched up some like you said, sprinkle some candy cane on
canes,
top,
yep.
it would be very Christmassy, and many people would enjoy it, and I wouldn't touch it.
So that's the way to keep you away from it. Got it.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are 2 other ones. And then our other staple is bizcochitos, which is it's a staple to New Mexico.
Traditional New Mexican cookie.
Yeah, it's a traditional New Mexican cookie. I'd never heard of it until I
There
moved
are
here.
no
And
words.
it's really, really delicious. So we will address that in an upcoming episode also.
For sure. And then we, like to put whipped toppings on the pies.
Yes.
Of course. And there's a variety of vegan ones that are really good as well.
Yeah.
If you like the one in the can that you spray out, that you whatever.
Yeah.
There's the almond.
I think it's Ready Whip.
It's
makes
Ready
it.
Whip brand. Yeah, almond, which is surprising because I would think almond would not be good for this, but
It's really tasty.
it is really
Yeah.
good. That's probably the best one, or
Yeah.
my favorite one. And then you could get tubs of all sorts of different brands.
Yeah, I think So Delicious is
So
the one
Delicious
that I
does
see the
one.
most
Mhm.
often.
But then there's one called True Whip
That
that you see at Sprouts, and there's all kinds of. There's a variety of different ones. I'm surprised at all the variety within the last 3 years that have popped up
Yes.
in terms of whipped toppings. because we used to have to make our own.
Yeah, we did.
So you could make your own with coconut milk, and you put the can in the refrigerator, and then it separates, the fat separates from the liquid. And then you get the beaters and you beat the fat and it whips it up. Makes a really good topping.
Yeah, it does.
But it's a little bit of work. Oh, and there's a new heavy whipping cream that Silk just came out with. That you could use that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
See, we're spoiled today.
Yeah, we are.
We have so many things.
Just in the 4 years we've been vegan.
Yeah.
The market has expanded immensely.
And that Silk heavy whipping cream or whatever is so good and so thick.
Yeah.
That I bought it just to make. I'm gonna put myself on blast here. Just to make cake in a mug and then pour that heavy whipping cream
on
it.
top. Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
It's like a mini poke cake.
Oh yes,
that's what it is. It's a mini poke cake.
Yep.
Poke cake in a mug.
I'm gonna one day just come up with all kinds of recipes for. Where you make a cake in a mug and just pour that heavy whipping cream in it. You know, with different toppings.
Yeah, different cakes and toppings. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you're making a holiday meal for one, you could do that for your dessert.
There you go.
It'll be really good.
Chocolate cake in a mug with the heavy whipping cream on top.
Yes.
It'll be delicious. According to Tony.
That was why I bought it. I didn't want to make whipped cream with it. All right.
You totally put yourself on blast.
Did. That was my secret
Yep.
evening snack. All right. Okay. So those are the desserts.
So that is our desserts that we can speak to. Of course, there's all sorts of other ones you can do. There's apple pie, cherry pie, pecan pie, sweet potato pie, all sorts of pies that you could do instead. And I would bet every single one of them can be made vegan, or somebody else has already figured it out.
Yeah. So I could just say I've seen a recipe for pecan pie on the PCRM website that looks super easy.
Yeah.
That I'm going to try in the very near future.
Yeah. So we'll come back for that one too. And fill you in on that as well.
We'll come back to that. There's also a sweet potato pie in the sweet potato soul cookbook that we have that I've been eyeing for a long time. Yes. And that is going to be made in the very near future.
And then if you want to just do, if you just want to buy canned pie filling, there is a no fuss pie crust.
Right.
And you can just do that and fill it with the canned pie filling and then pop that in the oven and have any kind of pie you want.
For sure. And then I was also going to say there's some accidentally vegan ready-made pies you could buy.
Yes.
For example, Marie Callender's fruit pies are vegan. So apple pie, cherry pie, and raspberry pie are all vegan. You can do that.
Get some Trader Joe's vanilla and have it a la mode.
And then Costco has those giant pies.
Gosh, yes.
The giant apple pies, and sometimes they have cherry, and those are accidentally vegan.
Yep.
And of course, locally, there's so many.
Oh my gosh.
Places
so many
you
bakeries
could buy
now, so many
vegan things. You know, check out Wanderlust, Tracy's Baked Goods, Vigo's,
Palm Tree Baked
Palm
Goods.
Trees. I think we're just scratching the surface. There's lots of other places in Santa Fe. There's Route 66 Cafe. They have desserts.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these places, if you're local, are doing that. You can order meals or order pies and desserts and stuff like that. So that really helps. Local businesses also.
For sure. The Acre does desserts. All these places we just mentioned are locally owned and operated. All right. I think that about covers it. I think you got some good ideas to make a well-rounded feast.
Yes.
For 1 or 12, however big your household is this year.
Yeah. I hope you have some good holiday grubbing.
Right. Wishing everyone a happy, safe holiday.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. We release new episodes every 2 weeks. You can always email us at plantbased@apnm.org. Check out our website, apnm.org/plantbased for classes, recipes, and more resources.
See you in 2 weeks.